Today we'll be talking about Daniel Jones, the second year going into his third year at quarterback for the New York Giants. We looked at Julian Love at cornerback. Last video we did this, but this time we're looking at the good and bad of Daniel Jones. It was an up and down sophomore season for him. I guess a bit of a step back statistics-wise. He did not have much around him. We have to acknowledge that, of course, but we're going to show some good and bad here. I think we start off with some bad stuff. It's pocket awareness, which was, sometimes very inconsistent. It got better towards the end of the year, but this is one that really came to mind, and this is one that I was not really a fan of. Not only throwing off balance, but the way he maneuvered in the pocket. And yes, this turned into a Darius Slayton, 15-yard game, which looks great in the stat sheet. But when you look at this play, look at Daniel Jones in the pocket. He basically, you'll see both guys right here. This is Jason Pierre-Paul and whoever this is right here. They both fall. So Daniel Jones already has, I think it's just two pass rushers, both on the right side. They run a stunt here. I think it's Ndamukong Suh. It's going to be against Cam Fleming. Now, as you see here, both of these guys are basically down. Jason Pierre-Paul's down. This guy was off balance. Daniel Jones right here had a lane to run through. This is a 1st and 10. There's over 2 minutes left. Even a dump down or check down to Dion Lewis was available. But for some reason, Daniel Jones just basically retreats right back into Ndamukong Suh, which is the confusing part. Like, I don't know if he sees him or not, but he just kind of goes towards him and then has to throw this ridiculously, look at the footwork, a ridiculously just ill-advised and bad decision across his body. And yeah, if Winfield, I think this is, got a better jump, that's a pick six. And he already threw 2 terrible interceptions in this game before that. So he got away with one there, but you have to look at the pocket awareness and say, yeah, that's not a good thing. But as I said, it did get better as the year went on, which is a positive. But this is back in like week 8, I think this game was, or something. So that was ugly, but there's more like this, so we'll get into those. So here's another one where the pocket awareness was not good. Now, we have to use context here. The Giants are down 1. There's like 25, 30 seconds left or so in this game. I don't know if the Giants had any timeouts left. Probably not. But we'll see Evan Engram right here in the flat leak out. Now, Daniel Jones was staring at him. Could have checked the ball down and picked up 7 or 8 yards. The Eagles were in a zone here, a very deep zone, prevent type defense. They were not going to give up anything deep here to get the Giants to field goal range. So you see Jones right here with the ball, staring down Evan Engram. Don't know if he wanted to go to Shepard or whoever this is. It might be Golden Tate. He had Evan Engram, and he had so much room on the left side here to kind of just roll out and try and make a play on his feet even. But he continues to just step up in the pocket, and, it's obviously a Brandon Graham fumble to lose the game. Now, we'll take a look from this angle. Graham coming from the right side against Fleming, then Dion Lewis. And Jones, you can kind of just see, is shuffling his feet, kind of just moving forward, but, never took off. Like, at some point, that clock has to go off in your head, and you have to either run for the first down, which I probably would not advise because the Giants probably had no timeouts left, or the better thing is roll out to your left, or even throw the ball to Evan Engram, who was right over here somewhere, and pick up the 7 or 8 yards they're giving you. But instead, Daniel Jones continues to triple clutch right there, and, gets hit from behind, oblivious to the rush, and even worse, loses the football and then loses the game. So yes, it's not all on him. I know that Evan Engram was the main culprit this game, but still, this does not help. You cannot have this type of stuff happen to you. When you see that, Andrew Thomas is forcing his guy outside, and then left guard here, Will Hernandez is pushing his guy inside. You have a wide open gap right here to move up. Like, Daniel Jones, I feel like, does not escape the pocket when it's necessary, and this is a time where it was necessary, and this time it got them burnt, and it was ultimately the losing play of this game. So Daniel Jones has been criticized in the past for kind of locking on to one receiver for too long. And this is a pretty good instance of it. He's going to lock on to the left side here. This is like a 3rd and goal, I think this is. And Washington's going to play a cover 3, not allow the touchdown, give up the underneath stuff. And yes, they had Golden Tate right here on a quick curl, basically. I think Austin Mack at one point could have been open, but, even that was a stretch because they had a safety right here. But, of course, Cam Fleming got beat on this play, and Daniel Jones gets sacked, held onto the ball, which is nice. But you can see the entire time. Doesn't really go through progressions. He's kind of just looking at one guy, which is really not what you want. I think he was waiting for this guy in the corner route to get open. It never happened. And by the time he can even, look to another guy, he was already on the ground. But when you look from this angle, Washington has no nose tackle or anyone. It's just, the A-gap is just open. And at that point, you kind of have to assume that they're going to try and come around here with the edge rush. Daniel Jones has to step up in the pocket, which he does do, but that clock, once again, does not go off in his head. He does not see the rush from his strong side in his face with Kerrigan here. And I think Daniel Jones at some point in the next half a second or even now has to realize I either have to take off with my feet and try to make a play here or roll out to the right, because Cam Fleming, he was collapsing right here. Like this pocket was collapsing, and of course it resulted in a sack. So I can't expect a quarterback to have eyes in the back of his head, of course, but on a play like this where it's in the corner of your eye, like I expect him to either step up and make a play with his legs or roll out to his right and try and buy more time. Daniel Jones has to do a better job of buying more time, being better on broken plays. Like that is where the elite quarterbacks, that's why they're great. Like players like, Josh Allen for Buffalo, for instance, is great on broken plays, and Russell Wilson. Daniel Jones has the legs to do it. He just does not navigate the pocket well enough. That's where I'm hoping he really improves, and as I said, it got better. This is a game from earlier in the year, but this is a bad instance of it. He has to step up and make a play with his legs or roll out to his right and buy himself some more time to make a throw on the run. So as usual, I have a lot of stuff out of order. This is back to week 1, but this is a good player, a positive play for Daniel Jones. So hopefully we'll see some more positives as we go forward here. But you guys know what play this is. The post route to Darius Slayton, the good play call. The corner, I think this is Steven Nelson, didn't really take the best route to it. Gave up that inside leverage, and he had him, and he made a really good throw. Stepped up, hit him in stride, and man, that was one of the better Daniel Jones throws of the year. I think that's Joe Hayden got over there too late, and Darius Slayton held on. But we'll take a look. When your offensive line is doing a good job, they had the max protection with the 3 tight ends in here. I think they all stand in block, not Engram, but so yeah, you had an open Engram right here, but decides to go for the home run. When you have a pocket like this, it makes a quarterback's job way easier. And Daniel Jones can stand in there and make throws, but the problem is when you pressure Daniel Jones, it does not go too well. Like his numbers against pressure were not as good as they were last year, unfortunately. But this time on a play like this where there is no pressure and a guy running open downfield, he can make this throw. So the Giants need more of this next year. But can Jason Garrett scheme up plays like this where Daniel Jones has time, and can he make the big throw when he has to? It has to be more consistent. But this was a great throw in stride. The camera work was terrible here, so I'm sorry for that. But the offensive line was awesome on this play. Jones did a good job of stepping up into it, making a great throw in stride, and hitting Darius Slayton for a touchdown. So here was Daniel Jones with some good pocket awareness. This is what I want to see, and this is why it's frustrating, because Daniel Jones can do it. It's just not as consistent. But I think this is Robert Quinn just beat Andrew Thomas on an inside move. Akeem Hicks just kind of fell on the right side, which kind of helped this play happen. But he saw it, and Daniel Jones rolled out and picked up a first down with his leg. That was like 12, 13 yards. It might have been a flag there, too, on Roquan. Yes, there was a flag. But we'll take a look from this angle. So, as I said, Andrew Thomas gets beat on the inside move. Akeem Hicks gets some pressure on the right side. But Daniel Jones, this time, not oblivious, sees it in the corner of his eye. You can see, right? He sees it right there. He saw it, gets out of the pocket, has the legs to do it, beat Akeem Hicks to the right side. Now, he was looking for somebody open, didn't see it, but says, hey, I'm fast. I can pick up 12, 13 yards, and that's exactly what he did, and picked up the flag on top of it. So you know what? That's what we need to see. That's what Daniel Jones needs to do more. If he can get better with the pocket awareness, he can turn into a pretty damn good quarterback, and that's what I want to see more consistent. But there are plays, like the ones I showed earlier, where it's not good pocket awareness. So if this gets more consistent, and this is back to like week 2, so it's not like this is the end of the year. This is week 2. So if this stuff gets more consistent and he can turn plays like this, where it's a broken play, into positive yardage, that'll definitely benefit the Giants and get them more wins. So, and put more points on the board, more importantly, because their offense was atrocious this year. But if he can do more stuff like this more consistently, the Giants are bound to win more games next year. So that's what we got to hope for. So here was another positive Daniel Jones play. It was the flea flicker with Devontae Freeman right here. And Daniel Jones does a really good job of throwing on the run out to his right, and honestly throwing a laser to Darius Slayton on the right sideline. It was like a 20-yard throw or so. I mean, I want to see how many air yards, as they call it, was on this. It was from the 48 to the 20, which, what would that be? 28 yards? I hope my math's correct there. I mean, to the 21 or so. So 28, 27 yards, and a strike to Darius Slayton. So I know this is a flea flicker, and it's not like the greatest play design, but when you have 2 guys chasing you right here, and you can get out and buy yourself more time, this is what I want to see more. All right, and when you buy yourself more time, it allows receivers to find open areas, and this is exactly where Darius Slayton's going, a wide open area, and he finds him, and he keeps his feet in balance and makes a play, and the Giants pick up 20-something yards on that play. So, that's what you need to see more. I know it's a weird example because, it's kind of like a trick play, quote-unquote, but as I said, We know Daniel Jones is capable of doing these things. It just has to be more consistent. Can he keep the pocket awareness at a level where he can do this type of stuff consistently? So I'm glad he was able to roll out to his right and he didn't just stand in there and take a sack. Like, I'm happy he's able to make these plays, because if this was a pocket passer or a Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, you're dead right here, 100%. But Daniel Jones has the ability to get out of stuff like this and make himself a nice throw and throw to an open Darius Slayton, even though it's a tough throw. But he was open, makes a tough throw, running to his right, and that's stuff we need to see more consistent. So I hope he, somehow works on that in the offseason and is more consistent doing that next year. Here was another really good Daniel Jones play. This time it was a great throw, deep throw to the left side for Darius Slayton, who got himself the outside leverage on this corner in man. Now there's one high safety, but Daniel Jones works his eyes to the right side first and kind of gets this safety over here more and gives Darius Slayton this one-on-one, and he lays it right in the bucket. It was a perfect throw. Like, that's what you love to see right there. Daniel Jones had himself some really good deep numbers this year. Didn't throw the ball as deep as we want to, and then hopefully next year he does take some more deep shots, because the numbers for him looked very good on it. But Daniel Jones in the pocket right here. He got hit at the last second by Sweat, but it was a great throw. I mean, you cannot ask for much better right there. He made the right read. Once again, took a look to that right side, threw that safety off who's up there, and went back to the left, saw Darius Slayton had a step or two on his guy, and made a perfect throw. You got to love that. So as I just mentioned, the numbers told us that Daniel Jones had a very good deep ball passer rating and completion percentage this year. But here was a play I remember, the first play out of the third quarter against Dallas in week number 6, I think this was, or 5 maybe. And Daniel Jones had an open, well, it wasn't that open, but he had a step right here at one point, Darius Slayton. And this could have been completed for a really nice play towards the sideline. You can see Slayton has a step now at this point, but Daniel Jones airmails this thing out of bounds somewhere. Like that, this throw is just awful. Like, this is a play that could have opened up the game. I forget the exact score at the time. I think the Giants might have been up, I think, at this point, honestly. It was a very close game at that point. But you can see Slayton has a step on his guy, but the throw was just out of bounds. Like, that was terrible. So that's one that's got to be better, and we'll take a look from this angle to see exactly where the ball went. Now, it seems like the offensive line did a great job, and Jones did a good job of stepping into this ball, or stepping into the throw, but you can see right here, Slayton's having a hard time tracking this ball because it ends up somewhere over here. Like, that's just, it was a terrible throw. Like, you have to be honest. So stuff like that has to get better, and as I said, I know that the numbers of him throwing over 20 yards were great, but once Daniel Jones gets over like that 35, 40-yard area, that's when it gets a little shaky for me. Like, I don't know what the numbers are for that on him, but this is a throw that I want to see how many yards this thing was. I mean, he's throwing from the 18 and probably lands like over the 50, so I mean, this is at least 35 yards or so, maybe 40, and it was just a throw that just was not accurate whatsoever. And if it was accurate, the Giants would have had a really big play to open up the third quarter. So for me, this might be a candidate for most frustrating Daniel Jones play of the year. I mean, this one in the Dion Lewis play in the Tampa game. But here we are down 8, one-possession game in a game where we're 13-point underdogs basically, or maybe it was more. Chance to go down and tie it. 1 minute left in the fourth quarter. Ball is on the Rams 23, 1st and 10. Don't have to force anything. And Daniel Jones, to his credit, steps up where he's supposed to and makes a play. Or tries to make a play, and he has a guy who's open right here if he throws it towards the sideline. Now, he should have ran for it because the first down marker is at the 14 right here. Easily could have slid right here for a first down, but instead tries to make a play by making a throw. I get it, but threw the ball to the wrong shoulder. The ball is supposed to be out towards the sideline. The ball was too far inside, and Daniel Jones throws the most unnecessary game-losing interception on this play. And this was an awesome play. I really can't take anything away from the Rams defender. That's one of the greatest interceptions you'll ever see. But why even put yourself in that situation? Like, he does a good job of noticing, like, hey, this entire, the right side right here for the Rams is collapsing. The offensive line is doing a great job. I can step up here and make a play with my legs or make a throw on the run. And he tries to make a throw on the run. But when you have all this green in front of you, you might as well just take off and slide and pick up the guaranteed 10 yards than making the risky throw. You know what I mean? Like, this throw, you see him reaching back towards it inside. This throw had to be more outside. The throw was bad. It was inaccurate. And that's what led to the Giants losing that game in Los Angeles. And this was, it was awful. I mean, this was a play that really annoyed me, and it was just unnecessary. The Giants easily could have had themselves another 1st and goal on the 10-yard line or another 1st and 10 on the 11 or 12-yard line. They did not have to have this interception. So this was really bad decision making and just an inaccurate throw. So once again, I know it's early in the year, but when you see stuff like this happen in year 2, you're like, hey, you're trying to do too much. Just take the guaranteed yards and slide and live to play another down. Here's another one from I don't even know if we got to this game yet, but a bad play. We saw a bad pocket awareness play before in this game. This was an awful decision. This was that play where he ran that slant and go. I think this is Slayton, or if it's Shepard, I think it's Slayton up here. I have to see a 7, so we'll go with Slayton. But Slayton runs a slant and go, completely fools this guy right here, and Daniel Jones never saw it. Look how open he is. There's no safety on this side of the field. Just real estate everywhere for Darius Slayton to have a touchdown. Now, Daniel Jones doesn't see it. And he tried to look back at one point, I guess didn't see it, then makes a terrible decision and an interception right there for, I think that's Carlton Davis. I mean, that was just awful. You cannot have that. That's you have to have some awareness, you know what I mean? I think he sees at one point, he figured the safety might have been blitzing. So even then, you have one-on-one on the outside right here. And if this corner bites on this move, which he does, I mean, you have to see this. There's no excuses. The pocket was not that bad either. Once again, as I mentioned before, locks on to one receiver for too long. You have to go through your progressions faster. And if he saw this, it would have been a touchdown for the Giants. Instead, it results in an awful interception. So here was another bad play, and don't worry, we finished off this video with 5 or 6 good plays in a row, but as I said, I kind of did this out of order, but it's another one of those slant and go routes, and he had to step on his guy. This time it is Sterling Shepard on top of the screen, and we'll take a look, and at least he saw it this time when he kind of locked onto him once again, but this has to be completed. I think Shepard, some people kind of blamed him for taking a bad angle to the ball, which I personally don't get, but it seemed like he was running fine. I mean, Jamel Dean was kind of out of place there, the corner, and definitely was fooled by that move. That's enough time to make, or enough, room. That's definitely open in the NFL. I mean, I've seen, instances where guys don't have as much separation and quarterbacks don't make a throw. He had this entire sideline to make a throw. He could have made a back shoulder type throw or hit him in stride, which he tried to do, and just overshot it. And that's, inexcusable. You cannot have those things once again. We'll take a look from the pocket and see, how was the footwork and all those things, but it seemed like everything was fine. Offensive line seemed good. Dion Lewis did an awesome job picking up that blitz, but the throw was just too far. You cannot have those things, and I really cannot blame anybody else for that play. He just puts too much air under it, and unfortunately it was too far and out of the reach of Sterling Shepard for a big play. So I do give him credit this time for at least finding the open guy, but when your guy is this open and has this kind of separation, you have to hit it. All right, so this is the last bad play we'll go over. The rest are good from here on out. But as I mentioned before, this one and that Rams interception was the most frustrated I was with Daniel Jones at a particular moment in the season. So here's the situation. I think I had it up before. The Giants are down 25-23, 2-point conversion to tie the game against the Buccaneers, who were double-digit favorites in this game. 28 seconds left, so if you don't get this, the game is over. And the Giants seem to have called a perfect play. Some pre-snap motion, which we love. Dion Lewis, Antoine Winfield's his guy. He's trailing him by a lot. The ball should be out about right here, but Antoine Winfield playing, really far off, and when he turns his head, the ball has to be there. But the ball has not been thrown yet, and not only is the throw, late, but it's also behind him. The ball has to be closer to the pylon, of course, not inside, but the ball is on the inside. Hits Winfield. They called the flag at first. They called it back. I mean, it is what it is. Take accountability, make the throw. I don't blame the refs, but yeah, this one has to be completed. There's really no excuse. Waited way too long. And as I mentioned, the throw has to be out here. The throw is in here. That's just, it's awful. The timing was awful, and the throw placement, the ball placement, was also terrible. So I know it's a 2-point conversion. It doesn't really go down in your stat sheet, but this is a game where the Giants should have went to overtime. And you know what? Maybe they win the toss and get themselves a lucky big play and, somehow win the game. But, when things like this happen and you beat yourself, that's why you're a 6-10 team, So the Giants definitely should have at least went to overtime there. And Daniel Jones himself, I think this was the worst game he's played in the NFL. This Buccaneers one, but this, kind of was the icing on the cake right here for him to top off this terrible performance. But right here, you have to hit it. There's no excuse. Winfield is still 4 or 5 yards off of his guy, and we still don't make that throw. So it was ugly, but that is it for the bad part. Now let's get to some more positives for Daniel Jones' 2020 season. All right, so on to some good plays here. I think we remember this play, the Evan Engram completion deep down the right sideline. Almost was a touchdown. Daniel Jones does an awesome job on this play, not only making a perfect throw, but kind of looking off the safety right here. I think this is Bates, and he kind of looks him off to the left side here and makes him go towards this left hash mark, and we'll see Daniel Jones work his eyes, and Evan Engram gets one-on-one coverage with Vonn Bell on the right side on the bottom of the screen right here. So watch Daniel Jones' eyes. I'll go back a little bit. Right there, looking to the left side, and you see the safety Bates goes over here basically to this side, gives Evan Engram this one-on-one, and he makes an awesome throw. He had a couple yards of separation. Almost got himself in the end zone, but that's a great throw. A great job of, with the eye manipulation and making the accurate throw. So Daniel Jones did everything right on this play, and if you can lay out deep balls like this, you'll be successful. I mean, there's really nothing else I can say about it. So we'll take a look at the footwork and all those things. Once again, look at the safety. He kind of manipulates him with his eyes, gets him over here, and he's throwing the ball to the right side, of course. And Jones steps into it and makes a terrific throw. So once again, do that more consistently next year, and hopefully the Giants will have a more explosive offense than they did in the 2020 season. So this was from week 17, and the last play was from week number 12, I think, and things started to look better for Daniel Jones as the year went to the end. So here's Sterling Shepard running like a dig route basically around the 40-yard line right here. And the ball's already out, but this is a tough throw to make. Like, I think that the Cowboys are in a Tampa 2, I'm pretty sure, because the linebacker's dropping back. You have the two safeties in coverage. And Sterling Shepard right here is going to cut in. This is a tough throw to make. I mean, to hit him in stride and make that throw against the zone. I mean, look, he does look open here, but this throw's a lot harder than it looks, honestly. So I give him a lot of credit. Shepard, lost a couple yards there, but still, it was an awesome throw. We'll take a look at Jones once again. I mean, stepping up in the pocket and making a great throw, hitting him in stride. And it's not an easy throw to make, so I give him a lot of credit. I know it doesn't look like the biggest deal in the world, but I like what I saw right there. The offensive line did their job. He stepped up in the pocket. Now, the offensive line, when it's holding up, you're allowed to step up in the pocket and make a great throw, and that's what he did. So, to me, it's tough, and I want to take a look at where the defense is right before he releases it. So, like, right here, there's a lot of, anticipation that goes into this throw. So, he hasn't even come out of his break yet, and he's about to release it right about here. So he's just about cutting in right here, not even looking at Daniel Jones, but the anticipation and the trust and the chemistry that he has with Sterling Shepard allows him to make this throw, and he knows that this area in the zone will be open. But as I said, it's a tough throw, so I give him a lot of credit for making that one. So here was another really good Daniel Jones throw. It was the Austin Mack catch on the right sideline, and it's kind of like an up and out type route for Mack here. And yes, there's a ton of separation, I get it, but he still hits him in stride and makes a really big play happen here. And Jones once again manipulates. I don't know if he manipulated the safety. I think he was designed to go to this side of the field, so I don't want to actually say that without knowing the exact play call. But Jones did, to his credit, start out by looking to the left, so that definitely kind of will manipulate any free safety. But I do think the safety was supposed to be over here, so I won't give him that credit. But still, I think the guy who screwed up was Ronald Darby right here. He was probably supposed to back up more. But just to find the open Austin Mack, I mean, we saw plays before, like the slant and go route with Shepard where he missed him, or Slayton before I meant. This time he does not miss him. He goes through his reads and finds a wide open Austin Mack. And finally, Jason Garrett calls, some deep routes. We had a couple seam routes, a couple out and ups, and this time it works. I mean, this definitely was a really good play call to attack this defense, and Daniel Jones, with a good pocket once again, steps into the throw and delivers it perfectly. So we need to see more of that next year. I do hope that there's more deep shots. We need a better offensive line, obviously, but when you see stuff like this, it gets you excited for next year and what the possibilities are, but it really depends on the play calling. I don't know why Jason Garrett looks like he'll be brought back in year 2, but we will find out how that goes. But yeah, I love what I saw from this play. Starting out, looking to the left. Once again, you see where the eyes are going to the left, brings it back to the right, sees the wide open guy, throws it in stride, and it was a great throw once again. So this play honestly reminded me a lot of Eli Manning. I feel like Eli did a lot of this where he would look off to his left and then hit a tight end on a seam route. And this is Evan Engram right here on the seam route, and he hits him with a perfect throw, honestly. We'll take a look at it. Engram gets the inside leverage. Jones sees it. He has to lay it up inside somewhere, hit him in stride, and he does. Almost out of his reach. Engram made a really nice catch here, honestly. I got to give him credit for that one. A guy who will drop some easy ones sometimes for sure. But honestly, we'll take a look at Daniel Jones here. Evan Engram, as I said, will get the inside leverage here, and Daniel Jones starts again by kind of giving a little glance to the left, maybe throwing one of the safeties off, then coming back. I mean, this is textbook. It was a great throw and kind of got that safety out of position. I want to take a look what that safety did over there. So He didn't really get him. He did delay it, though. He kind of like didn't really give the safety a clue of where he was throwing the ball. So at least by looking to the left for just a half a second, kept that safety over here in the meantime and gave Engram enough time to work on this side of the field and work that middle of the field and not get, hit really hard by the safety. So I think Jones did a good job with his eyes there once again. And of course, the big thing about this throw was that it was perfect, and the offensive line did a good job on this play. So everything worked out perfectly, and Daniel Jones laid it out perfectly for Evan Engram for a touchdown. So here's another big play for Evan Engram against the Bengals in the same game. Last time he was on the bottom of the screen. This time it's on the top. It might be the same play, honestly, just like flipping sides. So he gets outside leverage once again on the safety. This time there's not as much separation. Last time he had about 2 yards on Von Bell. This time there's really no separation whatsoever, but he does have the outside leverage. And Daniel Jones sees that the safety does not have his back turned, or he does have his back turned to the ball. And Evan Engram is looking back for it. So he figures he can get away with a great throw here. And that's exactly what happened. He lays out a perfect ball in stride. I guess it could have been slightly towards the sideline more, but either way, it just basically landed right into his hands. I mean, he made an awesome throw right there. Safety never turned around for that ball. I think he might have thrown the safety Jesse Bates off once again. We'll take a look. I think maybe he kind of like looks back to the middle right here, which kind of does throw off Bates, I guess, a little bit, but does not allow him to completely focus on Evan Engram. And that was a great throw in stride. And that's why it's exciting for the Giants this offseason of can they get some playmakers, because when Evan Engram makes a catch like this, which is a contested catch, we're kind of like, holy crap. But a guy like Allen Robinson or Kenny Golladay can do this in their sleep, basically. So if we get him a wide receiver one or maybe a Kyle Pitts or someone in the draft like that can make these crazy, ridiculous contested catches consistently, then it'll make Daniel Jones look a lot better, and plays like this will happen more consistently. But Evan Engram's not the best contested catch guy, but he came away with a great one here, and it was a great throw by Daniel Jones. So here's the final play we'll go over, and this is one that if you watch my film reviews weekly, I was very excited about this play. I've always been critical that Daniel Jones never throws while rolling to his left, and what do you know? He did it in the second to last game of the year. We see Andrew Thomas forces his guy way outside and opens up this area for Daniel Jones to roll out to his left and make a throw. Nobody was open here, of course. Of course, the Jason Garrett classic slant routes, or not slant routes, curl routes, and Dante Pettis, the newly acquired receiver from midseason, does a great job of spinning out and getting to the sideline, and that's what he does here. Gets himself some separation. Daniel Jones sees it and makes a really good throw to the sideline to pick up a first down. So this was I don't know if it was a third down or not. It was a 3rd and 15. So that's, I know this scored out of hand. It's kind of garbage time at this point, but it was a really nice throw. I like what I saw here a lot. So the route concepts were garbage, we get that, but making plays on broken plays is what I need Daniel Jones to do more of, and this is exactly what it is. You have the speed. He was playing on a bad hamstring at this point too, and made a throw running to his left. So you got to love that. Got to love Dante Pettis making the play as well. Hopefully he's back next year, but he did a really good job here. I mean, this is who was it on the right? That was Yannick Ngakoue, who loves coming from the outside, and Andrew Thomas got him outside. Daniel Jones saw it, rolled out to his left. Derek Wolfe couldn't catch him, and he made a really good throw to Dante Pettis. So please, do more of that next year. I'm telling you, if Daniel Jones can fix the whole pocket awareness thing and make throws running out of the pocket and just have more awareness, he can be a much, much improved quarterback in your number 3. And, of course, getting him the weapons would help as well. If it's Kenny Golladay, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, someone like that would absolutely help as well. So we'll find out what happens in the offseason. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I probably left out some clips, whether it was good or bad, but there's only so many plays I could go over right here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you expect from Daniel Jones in year 3. Were you satisfied with year 2? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.